We're going to give you some tips for the speaking section of your Maturita exam. This section takes 15 minutes and counts for 25% of your total score. Here are a few things to remember during this section. Before the exam, you'll have 20 minutes to prepare your answers. Speak clearly and pronounce your words so that the person who's listening knows what you want to say. Don't mumble. It's better to speak slowly and properly than speak too quickly and have the other person not understand what you're saying. Never use check. If you can't remember the English word, try to describe the word. For example, oh, it's the fruit that's yellow and it's a little bit sweet, instead of using the Czech vocabulary word. If you don't understand a question, just say, "Excuse me, could you ask that again?" Be polite and use short answers. Don't only say, "Yes," because this can be rude. Say, "Yes, I do." And this is more polite. Communicate with the examiners, and don't worry if they write a lot of notes on their piece of paper. Their job is to make notes on the good things you say, what kind of vocabulary you use, and some examples of grammatical structures. They're not only writing mistakes, so don't be nervous if you see them writing a lot. This is not a bad sign.
Part 1. This part is a question and answer part. It's pretty short. You'll be asked from 3 to 6 questions. You'll be asked about a general topic from everyday life. You'll know the topic beforehand, but not the questions. During your preparation, think about the topic and any vocabulary connected with it. Listen carefully to the question. The question will tell you what grammar you need to use. So, for example, if the question is, "Did you go to nursery school when you were a child?" you will know to use the past simple in your answer. If you need time to think about your reply, let the examiner know. So, for example, say something like, "Let me think about that." Or, "That's a difficult question." "It's hard to say." Or, "It depends." If you can't answer the question, let the examiner know so you can move on to the next question. There is not much time. You only have a few minutes to answer the questions. So remember, to answer briefly, use short answers and do not go into detail. For example, do you have any brothers or sisters? No, I do not. I'm an only child, but I've always wanted a brother. Okay, so let's try. I will ask you 4 questions and try to give brief answers. Where do you live? What is your favorite meal? Do you prefer books or films? And why? Do you like to travel? If so, where is your dream destination?
In part 2, you'll be asked to describe a picture. Your task is to choose one picture out of the 2 and describe it. You should speak on your own. And as you're preparing for the exam, think about some of the language that you'll use in advance. If you have trouble thinking of things to say, there are a few questions you can answer. If you go through who, what, where, what are they doing, why, what do they look like, and what's the atmosphere? So, for example, I can look at one picture and say, there is a girl and a boy. She's wearing a dress, and he's wearing some traditional clothes. It's sunny and they're outside. She has her hands on her hips, and he's holding something that looks like a stick. I think it's probably Easter in a Czech village. They both look happy because it's a holiday. Some of the language that we recommend you use is, for example, there is or there are. We use this to describe a picture or a situation in general. There are some trees. There is a girl. Don't forget, we always say in the picture. We also use present continuous to describe what's going on. The children are standing. She is smiling. If it's not clear what's happening or you're not sure, you can use language that shows it's a guess or your opinion. I think it's a holiday. I'm not sure where their parents are, but they're probably nearby, etc. You can also express your opinion. I think the children are happy because I always enjoyed Easter. Or, I don't think the girl is very happy because the boy is whipping her. Don't worry about expressing doubts here. It's okay to say, I can't see clearly what's happening here, but this is what I think. In the second part, you'll be asked to compare two pictures. Don't just describe the second picture, but really compare the two. First, look at what's similar, and then give some differences between the two pictures. Using comparative adjectives will really help you here. So, for example, in both of these pictures, it looks like a holiday. In the first picture, there are only 2 people, but in the second, I can see a whole family. The first picture looks like Easter in the Czech Republic, and I think the second picture is Christmas in the United States. There are more people in picture 2 than in picture 1. It's sunnier in picture 1 than in picture 2. And there is a lot more food in the second picture. Don't forget, you can also use language like to, also, but, and on the other hand to show differences. So, in the first picture, they look quite happy because it's sunny. But on the other hand, many people love Christmas, even though the weather isn't as great.
Part 3. Now, this part is different in every school. So ask your teacher what the criteria are for this part in your school. Some schools, mostly grammar schools, involve information about English-speaking countries or international organizations. If this is the case in your school, you might be asked to speak about the EU, for example. There might be 1 task or maybe 2. You might be asked to speak on your own or maybe to interact with the examiner. You might have materials such as maps or brochures to help you. This is the only part of the speaking exam where knowledge of facts and specific information is tested.
In part 4, you'll be doing a dialogue. This is different than the previous parts where the examiner asks you questions and you answer. Here, it's important for both people to exchange ideas and to come to an agreement together. So make sure that you're asking questions and answering them. You want to make suggestions and also agree or disagree. If you want to make a suggestion, you can use language that's, for example, why don't we? Or let's go to, or what do you think about meeting in this place? Don't hesitate to ask the opinion of the examiner as well. You can use language such as, what do you think? What would you prefer? Does that sound okay to you? And also, if you agree or disagree with the examiner's suggestions, don't hesitate to say so. You can say, I absolutely agree. That sounds great. Sure, why not? I agree, but, and give another suggestion. Or, I totally disagree. I don't think that idea will work because, and then don't forget to suggest an alternative. At the end of part 4, you are always asked to summarize what agreement you two have come to. So, at this part, go back and list the points that you have come to terms with the examiner. So, for example, we both agreed to meet at this place at this time. We're going to bring these items and we're going to do these activities. At the end, we'll finish around this time. That's the end. Good luck.